Right, what's happening, everyone? Welcome to the Sportcast. It's me, Andy Grant. I've got Gary Judge with me from across the park, and this is via StreamYard as I'm away with my little girl, and also Gary is busy working. Straight into it, we had a winning week last week thanks to Man United and their shock comeback in our group chat and a few other little group chats I was in. I was getting slated for letting the bet down, and then before we knew it, the super Scott McTominay come through and won us on the 3 homes and also the over 1.5 goals. So, yeah, we were banging with 2 bets last week, which is a good start. Me and Gary were just saying off here, there'll probably be a little bit of a show this week as we both work, and also international weekends. It feels like it was only last week. It was the other international, and yeah, here we are again, other internationals. But there are some other bits of sports which I thought are quite interesting, and we'll kick it off with F1. Have you seen the story about Bernie Eccleston?
No.
So Bernie Eccleston is he's 93 at the moment, former F1 owner, I think he was, and he's got done for having £400 million in an offshore account. Basically, £400 million of fraud. There's a lot of money in F1. I think why you needing to hide £400 million. I mean, I know no one likes paying tax, but come on. Also had Max Verstappen. He won his 3rd World Championship at the weekend. That's 3 World Champions for him. And I've seen the big thing for him is he wants to stay at Red Bull his whole career. He's been there as a kid, and I think for him it's a bit of a legacy thing, try and stay with them. And 3 world titles, he seems to be getting better and better. Was quite sad, I thought, though. You had that first year where there was all the controversy with him and Lewis Hamilton, and that last day where Lewis Hamilton basically got robbed of the World Championship.
Yeah.
That was a bit of drama for him. But then the year after that, I think he was battling with Ferrari for a little bit, Charles Leclerc. But then
it's still a bit of a cakewalk, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it still was, but this season's been even more so. So it's great to see him do 3 world titles on the spin. I don't think it's great for F1 because it looks like he's just going to dominate for the next, 5 or 10 years.
Can't blame him, can you? What would you expect Red Bull to do? Give it to someone else?
Exactly. So that's the field spin for him. And like you say, I think he's contracted to 2028 and is already talking about spending his the rest of his career there. So, but yeah, the Bernie Eccleston £400 million fraud, I thought was the best on that. Horse racing this week as well. Did you see this Frankie Dettori story? So basically, Frankie Dettori's been telling everyone all year that he's going to be retiring from horse racing, and basically every meeting he's went to, it's been a farewell tour for Frankie. Last time he's ever going to be here, next time he's going to be here, last time he's ever going to be there. And he's due to race his last race in the UK. I think it's next weekend. But he's already come out and said that he won't be retiring. So basically, every week, it's thanks, Frankie. Wow, what a legend. Be ashamed never to see you again. He's lapped it all up, and then turned around and said, "Actually, no, I'm not going to retire." He's actually going to.
I'm not leaving.
He's going to go and race full time in America, and he's going to go out to the Middle East. And no doubt he'll come back to the UK for some of the big races, like the Gold Cup and Ascot. And I just thought it was no, not ashamed at all. And I just thought it was really interesting when you talk about characters and the kind of big people in sport. When AP McCoy, one of the greatest jump jockeys in the world that we'll ever see, when he retired, I think he got a winner at like some, Wednesday night track, with little kind of really low key meeting. And one day just was like that's me, I'm done. Do you know what I mean? And Frankie, obviously different character, big personality. He's let us all know he's going to retire. And
big,
just said,
big bank accounts as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, Frankie will be cracking on for another year. But I think, to be honest, like you just said, then horse racing needs him. He's a massive character, and I think with him in the sport, it's only a good thing.
Yeah, 100%.
The other one on horse racing, which affects us close to our hearts, I know we both like the racing and the Grand National. There was, I think, 3 horses died last year. So the Grand National this year's been reduced from 40 to 34. Again, that's, if you remember, there was a lot of activists last year as well that delayed the race. And obviously there must be a lot of rumblings going on behind the scenes because they've done something about it, and they've reduced the field to 34 rather than 40 runners. Hopefully that.
I'm not so sure. 34 to 40, is it really going to... Sorry, from 40 to 34, and 6 less runners. I'm not sure. Look, I guess it's a start, isn't it? And certainly to try and address the fatality, but I'm not sure that the 6 less runners is going to do it. I know these starts obviously reducing the size of the fences. That happened a few years ago. That helped a little bit, but it's still by some distance. I think part of the problem, if I'm honest, is it's so abnormal for the horses compared to the other races. Now, obviously, the distance isn't. There's quite a few races in the calendar that, in fact, there's a full calendar of races that are around that distance or close to the 4 mile mark. But it's such an outlier, isn't it? So it's almost a shock, I think, for some of these horses to come into and go, wow, there's this many runners. Wow, the fences are so much bigger and wider, and I think that's one of the bigger issues. And I'm not saying you try and replicate the Grand National, but I think there needs to be a bit more of a tiered approach to it. Almost like it's a bit like a runner who runs it, quite a lot and stuff, and just suddenly you're running a marathon surrounded with loads of people. It can be overwhelming, can't it? And obviously it can have the opposite effect for some people. But for some, it's like this is a big jump, and doing your first marathon's a huge thing, isn't it? For a person, the horse, racing equivalent to a marathon, or the London Marathon, if you like, is the Grand National, isn't it? I don't know. I just feel like there should be more events to help horses prepare for that step up.
It's a great analogy as well, because I think, like you say, a marathon's massive, and I think some of these horses might not have run in big race courses where the fans, how many people come to entry of a couple 100,000 or something? So
on National Day, I think it's about 100,000. Yeah,
it's 100,000. Is so it is a big thing for them, and anyway, they're making steps. I think it just sounds like you've nailed it. Though a bit of a box ticking exercise. I don't think it's going to have that much of a massive impact on the race, and I think you're still probably going to get protesters, etc. They were going to turn up and try and cause havoc, but yeah, they were the 2 big news stories in horse racing. Athletics. I've got a bit of a cracking story for you that I don't think you will have heard of, but first off, the most amazing thing happened was the marathon record got
Chicago.
He smashed in Chicago. Kelvin Kiptum, it was
by 3 minutes, wasn't it?
No, I think it was only about 30 seconds, I think.
Oh, it was 3 minutes.
It was 2 hours and 30 seconds, I think it was. He done. I just posed the question again, when now, not if, that 2 hour marathon will get broken. Again, we spoke about it the other day when we spoke a little bit about the 5K time getting broken. People don't realise how fast you need to be run to run a marathon in 2 hours, 30 seconds. It's absolutely insane. I don't even think most people could run that pace for 400 metres. I really don't. It's absolutely insane. Which then sparked a huge debate over footwear. The kind of Nike, Adidas kind of war. Which trainers are suitable? Is there kind of more of an edge, if you like, if you wear certain trainers and stuff, and which I thought interesting. Again, that's a podcast in itself. There are so many running trainers now with a better heel, a better this, a better that. You do wonder actually if any of it, it's obviously not like doping, it's taking drugs, but you do wonder if like certain trainers will start being banned.
It's a bit like
what impact they have to you.
With the trainers, it's a little bit like F1 cars, isn't it? And driver, we've just spoke about Red Bull and stuff having obviously a huge advantage from a constructor's point of view at the moment, and in terms of the tech they're using and whatever. But the F1 have worked to like marginalise that for a while, haven't they, by saying, look, you can only have this angle on your wings, you can only have this type of tyre and stuff at times, and the composition of tyres and how low your torque can be. And so I think there maybe needs to be a little bit more of a level playing field for me. I know they've got a choice. Look, anyone can go from as easy as tonight, given provided the commercials, line up for them. But I think there should be a level to which, running on race day, for instance, you've got to have, I don't know, this is the maximum height you can have on your heel. Or, I don't know. Look, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a running scientist, certainly. But, I think there needs to be.
Though, like you say, the technology is that good now. I think it is a conversation that does need to be happening at some point, because the trainers, the technology now, they can make you faster. So
it's a spring, isn't it? It's the spring and the step. Like, as the old saying goes, I've got a spring in my step. That means I'm moving a little bit quicker than I normally do. And if you've literally got a spring in your step, which some of these have, they do look on the surface to be, runners that you can purchase yourselves off the shelves for £300. I'm pretty sure they're not. Pretty sure they're modified specifically for that. They are, the money we're talking about, and obviously, it was all over the news. It was a worldwide story. Millions tuning in to watch that marathon. And it's probably one of the most coveted world records out there, isn't it? The marathon, along with the 100-meter sprint, it's the most coveted probably world record for athletics. So, I do think we've got to kind of, like the way boxers before they go to the fight, they got to have the gloves checked. And tapes it and goes, yeah, I'm happy with that. I always feel like the top 10 or top 20 athletes need to have that type of assessments on their shoes done before they go off.
I think as well, because we're getting so close now to breaking that 2-hour marathon, I think it's going to be getting looked upon even more so, because everyone's going to be getting, everyone wants to be the one to break that. Everyone remembers Roger Bannister breaking the 4-minute mile. Whoever breaks that 2-hour marathon will be remembered in history. So I think the race is definitely on now, as it's only 30 seconds to go on it.
100%.
Another record here, be interesting to read your views on this. I know we're, despite being good mates, we do disagree now and again on things. There's a story, a guy called Zarnell Hughes. Have you heard of it? Heard the story? Heard the name? Okay, so he's making headlines at the minute. He's absolutely flying on the athletic scene. However, he's unhappy with the term plastic Brit. So the way we have, obviously, Plasty Scousers, people from over the water, he's essentially a plastic Brit. And the idea being is he's just recently broke, I think, 100 metres. I think beat Linford Christie's record, I think it might have been. Or that's the last time it was broken, I think, for 30 years. So this guy, Zarnell Hughes, absolutely flying. However, he wasn't born in England. He was born in one of the islands, I think, near Jamaica, which used to be a British colony over his territory. Anguilla, I think it was called Anguilla. And basically, they have no Olympic team. So he's living on his little island in Anguilla, I think. I'm pronouncing that wrong, probably. And he's absolutely written it up, but they sadly don't have no Olympic team. So he's basically got UK citizenship somehow, or he's been able to provide he can run for the UK, because basically it was an overseas territory, and now he's representing Great Britain, smashed all these records and absolutely flying. So fair play to him in one sense, but I must admit, I'm not a fan of that, and I don't mind him getting called a plastic Brit. He's not happy with it. He's saying it's a bit disrespectful, but I think that has to be rules, doesn't it? There has to be rules. If you're not, you can't, I'm sorry, but he's not. No one's saying he can't run. I mean, the fact
it's a bit
Olympic team is unfortunate. That should change, but let him compete still. But he's not British, though, is he? Do you know what I mean?
No, I actually completely agree with you on this one, and I guess it's a little bit like the arguments. There's two sides to it. I think the first argument I put forward is then preventing a Brit from actually qualifying. Is he's standing in someone's way who is British from representing their own country. It's a bit like if you're and this is where there's the counter argument to it. It's a bit like if you're an academy player at Liverpool and it happens, 10, 15 years ago, new academy manager comes in, I'm going to start bringing players in from Spain. I'm going to put them in at 13, 14. They're suddenly taking your place. It's like, is that fair? So then the counter argument is you need to be better. Someone comes in your place, whether it's club, country or otherwise, you've got to raise your level to try and compete with that. But genetics comes into it. This guy's been born in a different territory, a different island, different climate. Probably got more white blood cells maybe than some people who would live in Britain. So that's somewhat unfair. Mo Farah, will he come into that bracket, having not been born in England? So I think as soon as you open that up, it's a huge, a huge issue, isn't it? But it can certainly divide people, and I'm kind of on the fence a little bit with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it can very quickly with the media, especially how it is these days, get turned into some sort of race talk, can't it? Like
a witch hunt almost, yeah. Let's get it around. He's not British.
Yeah, and I'm certainly not, going down that route. I just think if you kind of just say, he's going to be representing, that's great. He should be able to represent his own country. And I just think just because many, many years ago when, Britain bloody held slaves and, done awful things around the world and owned half the world, that's a kind of tenuous link to now being able to represent Great Britain.
It should happen. I think the key thing is what should happen where there's an island or a territory that isn't part of a confederation or something. It should just be geographically the country that you're closest to on the map.
Yeah.
And they'll get a price to that country, and the country can either decline, and if they decline, it goes to the next furthest country. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It should just be, I think, as simple as that, as you say. I think that's a very tenuous link, and it doesn't really add up, does it?
No, it's not even as if, like, his grandfather was born here. It was literally, I think, just because it was an overseas territory once upon a time. Have your own view on that, everyone. And in gymnastics as well, mate. I remember speaking about her a long time ago. She's that big of a name, my little girl. Already knows about her. Simone Biles. She's now the most decorated gymnast ever, both men and female. She's absolutely smashed it. She's got 34 medals across World Championships and Olympics. She's just became a 6-time world champion. She's only 26. I think she's.
I was going to say she's still only.
She's absolutely incredible.
It's young, but it's older for a gymnast, isn't it? To be fair. Like, I think the minute you go past 25, you're starting to struggle to maintain that body composition, and you're getting closer to 30 and stuff, and it's probably harder for you to keep the weight off, and that's unbelievable.
Yeah, it really is incredible. And she's someone who's come out and said that she suffered with her mental health and things like that, and to see her back absolutely smashing it again, unbelievable. I like to say, huge inspiration, because even my little girl, who should start gymnast, knows all about her. She had me watching YouTube clips about it the other day, so yeah, fair play to her. In cycling, mate, as well, on a quick one on this, Mark Cavendish has postponed his retirement as he's seeking to break the world record of stage wins in the Tour de France.
Frankie?
Yeah.
Well, a little bit different, wasn't it? That injury was a bad one, and
he's had a bad one, yeah. He's trying to go for most stage wins in the Tour. I think it's 35 might be the record, or that might be what he's currently on, but he basically needs one more Tour win, one more stage win, and he's got the record, so he's postponed his retirement.
Don't blame him. We talk about legacy all the time, don't we? And that's one that you'd love to have, a notch that you'd love to have, and so many people don't ride more than like 4 or 5 Tour de France, because of that kind of golden bracket you've got to kind of exploit it from a physical point of view, and it's hard to kind of keep pushing your body through that, isn't it?
I think as well, to postpone it, like you say, push your body so much, just with a hope of trying to win one of those stages. I mean, we spoke about it watching the Tour de France program on Netflix. Like, it's so grueling, and the fact that he's going to go through all that again. He only needs to win one more stage to do the record, but it's a tough task for him, and he's one that he's trying to do by postponing his retirement.
Yeah, please.
Last thing before we move on to footy, we are boxing this week. The 3 big stories is Eubank's trainer. What's his name?
BoMac.
He's just been given a 20-month suspended sentence for mitigating circumstances for the reason why he had a gun when he punched him.
Oh, okay.
What those mitigating circumstances are? You've got a gun.
I slipped, and the gun fell into it.
It's like that 24-hour in A&E, and there's a guy sitting there with a toilet brush up his ass, and he says, I slipped over, and I just moved out, so the new bathroom, and I don't know where everything was. How do you turn up and have a gun in your suitcase? And how do you then somehow blag it to the bloody judge and say, mitigating circumstances? I mean, I'm not one to talk about, bags of money changing hands, but come on.
You are one to talk about bags of money changing hands all the time.
What's happened there? Like, come on. I mean, anyways, probably the less said about it, the better. I don't want anyone coming for me, but he's got a 20-month suspended sentence anyway.
Yeah, look, there's definitely been some form of pressure, hasn't it? Whether it was Terence Crawford turning up saying to the judge he was going to spark him if he didn't get him off, or whether it was political pressure, the Americans saying, look, there's this, that and the other. I don't know, but there's some very, very bizarre definition of mitigating circumstances.
I'm in Tenerife at the minute. All I know is if I fly home tomorrow with a gun in my suitcase, I'm not getting a 20-month suspended sentence. That's all I'm saying.
No. Not unless you had the gun replacing your leg or something. You said your leg itself was the only thing that had used to screw it in.
And then sticking on kind of Eubank, here's him, Conor Benn's fight looks to be taking place now on the 23rd of December. Funny old thing, it won't be in the UK because Ben still can't fight in the UK. But Eddie Hearn isn't wasting any time to make that fight happen and make him and both fighters a lot of money. Hence why it's going to be probably the Middle East. Again, listen, we talk about boxing again and models. I mean, that's just Eddie Hearn showing his I believe it's difficult. You know, it's again, we said last week, you know, feel for Ben that he needs to be fine again, but come on, it's just like,
look, let's get it right, regardless of which, you know, where you stand on the Eddie Hearn promoters matchroom thing. Eddie Hearn didn't get into promoting sports and promoting boxing for the, you know, for the good of the world and for mankind and whatever. He got into making money.
yeah,
And, you know, if he was going to do that, he's going to promote something else in some other country and whatever, and try to build, you know, it's not about that, is it? Whether he can talk all day about models and about the, you know, the ethics of the sport and whatever, but ultimately, as you say, he's there to make money, and there's money to be made from that fight, and he was going to make that fight by hook or crook.
Yeah. Yeah, and it looks like it's pretty close now. So it's, I think 23rd of December. So, yeah. And the last one, mate, I was actually at the fight. The Wood Warrington fight for the weekend. Bit of a controversial stoppage. Some was saying, everyone was saying, obviously, Warrington was up on the night. I actually thought it was a bit closer than it was.
I did.
He was absolutely, I think it was pretty much double punches thrown and landed, so it's odd. But I still thought it was a bit closer than it was.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think what it was, there were certain rounds that he won. He absolutely won. There was some rounds that he could probably say Woods could have arguably nicked it. He was like picking the better shots, or he wasn't getting the volume and stuff, and maybe wasn't landing as much. But there was some of the better shots coming in from him. I think what hurts Warrington is, and if you watch it back, he gets straight back up, which you'd always say, and I think all experienced boxers say, look, just take your time on the canvas, wait a minute, get your head straight, and then get up. But he gets back up and he goes to the corner to compose himself, doesn't he? Keeps his back to the referee, and he's like trying to get himself together, and then turns around. The minute he turns around, the ref just waves him off. I think the ref had made that decision to stop that before he even approached Warrington. He was like, I'm waving this off no matter what. And look, after it, you know, his legs don't look gone to me. I mean, he's got up, he's walked straight to the corner. He hasn't like staggered to the corner and I felt he's walked straight to the corner. He's grabbed the ropes to settle himself. He took a deep breath and he's turned back around. I thought it was wrong. I mean, you only have to look at his face after it to know he hasn't took sustained damage. He hasn't been getting peppered. He took one big shot, took it on the chin, took it well, like an experienced boxer does. He knows to go down at that point. He didn't want to get hit by several. He went down, got himself up. I thought it was wrong. I thought it was a poor decision to stop the fight. And I think it's really unfortunate, particularly for a fighter at Warrington's age. It takes a lot for him to make weight these days. You know, he'll be the first to admit that. To get down to that weight is killing him. And, you know, it's a huge fight. It's a career defining one at this stage. You know, he could have easily threw the towel in. I think you'll probably see a rematch because it makes financial sense for both fighters. But again, I think it's a poor one for the fight fans who are there. It's a poor one for the ones at home, but more than anything else, it's a gross injustice for Josh Warrington. Yeah,
and the fact that I think you said that about the referee, he looked like he already had his mind up. I think that's what Warrington's saying. It's like the referee knew what he wanted to do. He had a whole minute to, you know, right on the bell. He had a whole minute to recover, and he just wasn't given that chance. And I just hope and pray for Josh that he does get that rematch. I think he deserves. And on to football, mate. I will start off by
just before we do, just briefly before we go on to footy, we've obviously got the big what you call it, crossover fights this weekend. The social media ones. You've got KSI and Tommy Fury, which is top of the bill, and you've got Logan Paul and Dylan Dennis. You know, whether we like it or not, it's once again captured the imagination of the public, more so that I guess the fans of the respected YouTubers have. You know, I've been sucked into listening to interviews this week. I think it's really fascinating. You know, I don't admire them as boxers, and I don't admire them as, you know, sitting alongside the likes of Lee Wood and Josh Warrington by any means. But as people and as businessmen, and look, as committed people, committed athletes, if you like, what a job they've done to get themselves this platform. You know, KSI firmly believes he's winning this fight, and you know that mindset alone is admirable. And to put himself in that position, and I know, look,
he come out and started saying that after this he feels like he could fight anyone. Started dropping Canelo's name and stuff, and I'm like, please stop. Like you said, Ben,
I mean,
fair play to you. You're a great entertainer. You've made a lot of money in business, and that's great. But don't start talking about Canelo.
don't get a boogie station now. But I think it's an interesting one. Again, I just don't see Tommy Fury losing. I think whatever we think about him, and I think my opinion on him is he knows he's not a world-class fighter. He's going to try and make the most out of this sport that he can. I think at some point he'll maybe compete for British title, European title. I think if he does compete for a world title, he'll get convincingly beaten. But I think from a spectator,
He's in great shape, by the way.
he always is. He aesthetically he always looks good. Do you know what I mean? That's not always an indication that he's amazingly fit, but he always looks good. I think he does the job. I think it probably goes the distance because KSI is extremely fit himself. He's got a very good engine. I don't think he's going to land the shot that he thinks he will land on Tommy Fury. I think it'll be a similar one to the Jake Paul fight. And Tommy Fury will go out happy man, another few million richer. KSI continues his journey, as you say, as an entertainer, and maybe attracts someone else, maybe an MMA fighter this time to come and fight him. And the show goes on, the crossover sport, which I don't think it's boxing, but it's entertainment, as you say, and the public have lapped it up.
I think the other one is on the undercard, there's Logan Paul against Dylan Dennis. I think there's been more of a controversy with Dylan Dennis's pursuit of Logan's missus. I think the lawsuit's going against him. She's suing for 160 grand. Whether he's even going to turn up and take the fight. So, yeah, I'm a bit like you. I have been sucked in a little bit to it, more so the Dylan Dennis one, because of he's just been trolling as well. But yeah, be interesting and fair play to him.
By the way, I do think Logan Paul's going to knock him out, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to say he's powerful and he can pack a punch, and Dylan Dennis isn't a striker. I think it's a mismatch. If it was boxing, it'd be a mismatch. I think it's a huge mismatch, and I think Dennis probably gets KO'd within a couple of rounds.
Yeah. The money that he probably does make from the fight, he's probably going to have to give it to Logan Paul's missus anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry. So, yeah, on footy, mate, Chris McKenna, he's been a big supporter of the pod. There's a bit of a conspiracy going on that I always miss a sportcast every time Everton win, and we can't talk about it. So,
wait, you missed this one.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm getting this done despite being on holiday, because Everton did win.
You didn't credit Everton on the bet. You obviously selected Everton.
I did, yeah.
You're the only ones that actually just sailed home.
Yeah, I thought you did well. To be honest, if anyone who did watch the betting show on Patreon, I did actually reference you, that fact that you'd spoke on Across the Park. You'd spoke to the Bournemouth fan podcast, and they were worried, given the fact that Everton needed to win at home at some point. And they're playing Bournemouth, who I think have got a pretty structured season. And then giving your little inside info from Across the Park podcast. They were the first one on the betting slip, and they've done a good job. Turn to corner, do you think, or more misery to come when you play Liverpool?
I'd say turn to corner. I mean, a stat come out this week, and I think it's an interesting one. We spoke about it on our podcast, and it was since Sean Dyches took charge, and I might not get this exactly right, so just bear with me, but it's something along the lines of, when we've been in front, we've won 7 and drew 3. When we've been behind, basically we've never won. We've drew a couple and lost like the other 12 or something. So I'm not saying that's a incredible insight. I think most people knew before Sean Dyche come to Everton that if he gets 1-0 in front, he's capable of holding on to a lead. I think that the overwhelming statistic seems to be if we get in front, that we're hard to beat. And again, look, I guess it's not untypical of any football team at this level. It's tough to beat any team in the Premier League when you go behind.
Yeah.
The other thing, I think a win or 3 points for any team just changes, I think, the outlook. It changes you look at all the negatives, you start to flip it and look at the positives. Our XG, and I know it's a bit of a divisive stat that some people think it's nonsense, which to some extent it is. If you don't take your chances, you don't win games. You don't deserve to win games, etc. But our XG is exactly the same as Man City's now. So we're creating chances. We're creating good chances. Exactly, Bob, on 1.78, and theirs is 1.78. On the weekends, we took our chances, which, like we did against Brentford. I think the encouraging sign, if you're going to flip it as a positive, is that we are consistently creating chances, and we've now got, for the first time, a full accompaniment of our attacking players. We've got Jack Harrison in there, you've got Jacore in there, you've got Calvert-Lewin in there, you've got players who can score goals. And, you know, the more attacking players you've got in there, the more chances you create, the better chance you've got of winning. I think we all know that Sean Dyche is capable of keeping clean sheets as well. There is signs of encouragement. I wouldn't say we turned a corner. As you said, we beat a poor side at home. We should have beaten another poor side the week before, and we didn't. So I think it's almost a case of, will the real Everton stand up? We don't know whether it's the Everton that beat Brentford, the Everton that beat Bournemouth, or if it's that team that's lost against, you know, Luton, Fulham, etc. at home. So the next game is the derby, which is, for me, very much a write-off. It's a one-off. We'll be meeting up on Tuesday. I'll probably go out around the end of the week. But we're meeting up on Tuesday, myself and Millsy from across the park. You and Muskie, it'll be a blue versus red shoot off on the derby. But, you know, a bit of an early teaser on my end. I think it's a difficult one for us to win for a number of reasons. But and I don't think it's a result, again, that would give you any indication as to whether we turn the corner or not. I think it's a one-off. I think it's a very difficult one for us to win in any circumstance. But yeah, we'll see, mate. But it's a good 3 points. The first time, this is a mad stat. First time we've scored more than one goal under Sean Dyche at home, which is ludicrous. But we've done it now, and hopefully we can kick on.
Wow. Yeah, and with Liverpool, we won't discuss the derby too much. I mean, the whole looking forward to it. Showed it's going to check defensive vulnerabilities, and I'm hoping that's something that Everton don't capitalise on, because go behind again. It's just like the story of our season, just absolutely incredible how many times this season we've gone behind. Showed, I think, great character to come back in the first half. You know, it didn't need a half-time pep talk from Klopp. The lads done it themselves, got back 2-1 in front. You think great. And then just really poor from Andy Robertson. We just look so vulnerable at the back. And I think it would have been a great 3 points away at Brighton. I think Brighton are going to cause a lot of problems to a lot of teams this season. And I'm thinking, you know what, getting 3 points at Brighton is massive. It seems to be massive now, because we've talked about them a lot, haven't we, how good they are. Normally you'd think, 3 points is a given at Brighton, but I think most teams would be turning up at Brighton now thinking if we can get a draw, it'd be great. And we were winning. We should have won the 3 points.
Yeah.
Not the worst result in the world, getting a draw, but it was there for us, 3 points. And I just feel really frustrated now. We look so good in attacking positions. You know, Nunes just causing havoc. Salah's continued on like he has done for the past 6 years. Midfield's looking exciting, but just defensively again, just letting us down. And that's the worrying thing for me, because we're looking at the rest of the team. Man City have lost twice now, which just seems unheard of. I don't think they've ever lost twice under Pep, or maybe they did 5 years ago or something.
Yeah, it was 5 years ago, yeah, since.
So, you know, Man City are even perfect. It's going to be one of those seasons where if anyone is really, really good, I think that league's yours. And Liverpool, as good as they look everywhere else, they don't look that great defensively. That's the main thing for me.
I mean, conversely, I'm not saying there that these are going to be the team that do take it. What a job that Ange Postecoglou's doing at Tottenham.
Oh, unbelievable. I think, again, coming back to you, I think you absolutely nailed it, where I think a team can be so focused on making sure Harry Kane's the main man, getting the ball into him, etc., and you can almost become obsessed with it. And just got rid of him, and that's just built an actual team now, rather than, I think, maybe managers in the past have tried to just shoehorn in other players around Kane. You know, you should have great with the players they brought in, different style of play, working as a team, and look, the set top of the league. What a job! And I think that Tottenham job was made for a type of a kind of Klopp, Big Ange kind of character that will bring the team together. Do you know what I mean? Rather than like Mourinho and Conte, where it's like, no, we need togetherness. And I think they've just done brilliant, haven't they?
Yeah, 100%. You know, I've been really impressed by them, and I just think it's the way they're approaching games is a breath of fresh air. To literally go on every team they play, and there's nothing complicated about the way they play. It's high energy, as you say. It's getting the ball into Maddison. I think Maddison's a key player, by the way. I think if he gets injured, that team will drop like a stone, because everything goes through him. He's been incredible, and you know what, I'm made up for him, because a lot of people questions while he was at Leicester, is he a little bit of a, you know, big fish in a small pond type player? Does he need to be the main man? And maybe he does need to be the main man, but he's shown that make him the main man, even at the top of this league, and he can still run games. I think he's been outstanding, and I think he should be really in my opinion, he should be that first man, one of the first men on that team sheet for England now. Bellingham's obviously in there as well as a kind of attacking midfielder, but you'd be looking to say if you're Southgate, I've got to get Maddison and Bellingham in that team because they're two of the best players in Europe at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely flying, and yeah, sit pretty at the top, as do the North London rivals, Arsenal, who beat Man City. I'll be honest, I did not see that coming. I know City are missing a few players, but I thought Arsenal done great to get that result. You know, they done it without Saka as well, which I thought was massive for them.
And also they done it. Sorry, they done it. In spite of the fact that City should have had a man sent off. It was another gross injustice. Kovacic should have went for that. But, you know, I guess an Arsenal of old may have sulked about it and, you know, City get over the line, but they've gone and got the win, which, again, I think they're showing that stealing mentality that they showed a little bit of last season. They pushed on again.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they've done great. Listen, they've done great to beat Man City, but I still think Liverpool will finish higher than Arsenal. I really do. It's just down to, I think it's just all down to Man City. I mean, that focus for me was all about Man City, and it's just to see whether they can just be their relentless selves again that they have been for the last few years. And I don't think they are this season. I don't know whether it's a bit of a hangover from the treble or what, but I'm buzzing to know that Man City aren't the Man City of old, and I like the fact that they dropped points against Wolves and Arsenal already. I'd just like to say, from a Liverpool perspective, hope that Liverpool can capitalise when they are getting beat. But listen, fair play to Arsenal. You had to get Man United turning things round 2 in the last, I think it was 6 minutes of added on time. They managed to claw 2 goals back and beat Brentford. Despite that being the kind of almost the Man United of old under Fergie, I'm still not worried about them. I don't know what's happening in that squad. I mean, I know results like that have galvanised things, but I think they're a long way from getting some sort of run going. And the same goes with Chelsea. You know, they were behind, come back, great. But I think both of those teams, you know, for years, Man United, Chelsea, huge, big teams at the top of the table always. But the pair of them, I think, both similar problems, and it's just not working out at all for either of them, is it?
I think it's different problems, isn't it? I think you've got a manager in Pochettino who I think over time we'll get the right group, and he'll galvanise them at some point. But I just think he's got a lot of square pegs and round holes. He's got an incredible amount of injuries there. I think once those key players come back to fitness, I think they'll be okay, and I think they'll start to climb the league. Got a different problem at Man United, and we were chatting about it just before United ends up turning the game round. And I don't think you can ignore the correlation between the spat between Ten Hag and God, my memory's gone terrible today. Sancho, yeah, of course. Yeah, the spat between Ten Hag and Sancho and the dip in their form and they just seem to have completely imploded. Now, obviously, McTominay's come off and scored at the weekend. You could argue really that he's not really part of that core group because he's not been in the team and he's come off the bench with he's come into the team with a point to prove. I think that the players, you know, the real top players in there seem to, I think, down tools a little bit and almost went, I'm not having him. I'm not having the way that he's handling certain players. I'm not having the way that he's handling certain situations. You've still got
you think that the players are almost siding with Sancho, do you think?
I think so. And I think you've got to be clever as a manager, and you've got to know that you've got full control over that dressing room and full respect for that dressing room before you make decisions like that. And I don't think he has a position of strength yet. Ten Hag, I don't think he has enough of a position of strength. Fergie's done it down the years, and I heard Roy Keane talking about in Gary Neville saying that a lot of the time Fergie's going to get rid of a player, and we think, why are you getting rid of him? Like, we're not ready to lose him. But we had so much respect for what he'd done that it was like, we've just got to follow the boss's decision. Ten Hag hasn't got that currency yet. He's only one.
Yeah, maybe he's got one league back season, and yeah, he's got that. But maybe the cups haven't been enough.
Premature for me. And look, I might be wrong. You might still turn the corner and whatever, and only time will tell. But I don't think you can ignore the correlation between when that spat happened and literally he fell off a cliff almost. He had a good end to last season, didn't he? And he looked like it was going to be. Well, he has a very decent season. You know, they've won a trophy and stuff, and I just think you're probably expecting a big, you know, pick up here. But yeah, I've got a feeling that has a real impact, and you'll obviously see in the coming weeks. But I think it could be the end of him. I think.
It's just the one, isn't it? Interesting. no point looking forward to any fixtures like the derby as we've got international weekend. Mate, I'm not interested in international football one bit. I don't know whether you've
one interesting one, not England. One interesting story, if you like, or is to keep an eye on the game, is Scotland and Spain. Obviously, Scotland are 6 points clear at the top of their group. Hasn't it? I don't think personally, people in the north are that bothered about rivalry between England and Scotland. If anything, I've probably got just as much of an affinity towards Scotland as I have England, because I kind of like the old underdogs thing, and I think I love the way that they play and stuff. And they've got some really good players. Obviously, usually we've got Andy Robertson there, we've got Patterson there, John McGinn I think's a decent player. They've got some half-decent players, and the story, if you like, from a fixture point of view, is if they get a result in Spain tonight, they could be through already for the Euros, which is huge for Scotland.
They
massive price, by the way. 12-1 to win and 9-2 to get a draw. It's like they beat them 2-1 at Hampden, or 3-1 was it?
Well, I'm actually with my government. I got blown up with, who is Scottish, so I'll be watching that tonight with them. So I might actually have a little cheeky fiver on a Scotland win at 12-1. To be fair, I think they only need 1 point over the next 3 games, don't they? So, and depending if results go their way, I think they qualify anyway. So they should do it, and it'd be great if they could do it against Spain. Let's be honest. The last one as well, mate, which international people, the one where we're still basically as they can to women lives women. Yeah. Then obviously, the stories to say that basically he didn't shake hands with other officials, or it's not protocol to shake hands before the game. But from the clip that emerged on, I think it was social media, it literally looks like he shakes hands, sees the fact that he's got to work with a woman for the next 90 minutes, and just absolutely pies it off.
Just pies it.
Really, really disrespectful.
So I understand.
Just a weird one. I think he got a match ban. I think he got, he's not going to be refereeing the next week. But yeah, just a real lack of respect, and just looked like a bit of a nasty piece of work. The guy who done it really wasn't bit uncomfortable to watch, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. That's really weird. It obviously, I think if he, and this is not just being disrespectful or sexist here, I think if he'd done it 5 years ago, 10 years ago, he might have got a few laughs for it. But obviously now that there's females in an officiating point of view, obviously females from a football point of view that have put themselves in a really strong position, and they're getting as much respect and coverage as the males do. Timing is everything, in the way that you kind of your stance on things. He might have a certain opinion, but he hasn't read the room, has he? That's for sure.
No, big time, no.
Just one quick plug. We kind of missed it out, but I just want to mention huge weekend for rugby as well in the World Cup quarterfinals coming up. Decent lineup of games. England, should get through the quarterfinals, but will struggle, I think, to go any further than that. England's got Fiji, but Ireland is the one to look out for. Got a real chance. Ireland, they're the joint favourites with France now. So I'm probably going to get behind the Irish, and be great if they can bring it home, particularly in France. France.
Oh,
yeah. Take the trophy from under the French's noses.
Yeah, it'd be great. And I think even if France do it, though, it's what would be the second time that one country from the Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah.
So, fingers crossed it's Ireland. Mate, I know you're busy working. You took time out your working day to record this. It's much appreciated. Apologies from my lack of kind of view for anyone watching on YouTube. It's done from my kind of little girl's room while I'm away in Tenerife. I'm going to
be killing.
I know it is. I called the phone up the whole way. So yeah. Anyway, it was always good to talk sport with you, mate. As always, massive thanks for everyone who's listening in week out. Don't forget, get signed up on Patreon. I will be doing betting tips again this week, and hopefully get another winning weekend. Whatever you get up to, have a boss one, and we'll see you next week.